didn't. I just turned recording on, so I gotta make sure and get the chat. So I can't remember if I've got to record to get the chat, but I wanted to make sure to grab any links or things that people are saying, because Leslie, I did see that as well, an upcoming session about diversity inclusion. And there's also, oh, I'll add to the meeting notes, there's a good session coming up December 6th, I believe. I don't know if any of you saw that on the Alma L list, or maybe it was on the Primo L list, about an upcoming CDI webinar just from the new head of the knowledge base for the CDI. And it's just going to be sort of conversational, I think, about how they manage the CDI and hopefully, how they kind of work cooperatively with other third-party vendors to get the data and all that. So I think that's going to be a good one, and I'm glad I saw Leslie's comment, because that made me remember that one. That I will, again, I'll put that in the notes and share the notes out, because I think that's going to be a good session. And I think it's kind of at the heart of a lot of the more active conversations, especially support conversations, back to Salesforce. A lot of the Salesforce cases we have are related to CDI. So that, I think that's going to be a broader conversation about, some of the under the hood, why issues that we see exist, and how, kind of from an operations or a workflow perspective, how Alex Libras is trying to manage that. And to that point, this goes back to a conversation on our list that's several weeks old, but and this is, I know this has been a concern of Green River for a while now, and it came up at Seattle, a few weeks ago or several weeks ago. Just the it's the case that if a citation from the CDI is available through both link resolver links and link in record links, then the link in record, the direct link, which is like a permalink from the vendor that the vendor puts in the that the vendor provides to Ex Libris. If a citation is available through both methods, it's that direct link that takes precedence, and when that happens, only the direct link to the citation is shown in Primo VE and not the link resolver links. And that is, it's kind of a, Ex Libris is aware of it. The hurdle there is kind of technical, where the way they process those links is different, and they're trying to come up with a solution where they can present both, but right now they're not able to. That's a little fuzzy. There's not a lot of detail there, but what it points to is there's some technical reason why it's only possible to show one or the other kind of links in a citation and not both. And the reason why the direct link takes priority is it's the one that generally should be more accurate, because there's always some fuzziness in an open URL link. A ISBN number could be different, or title slightly different, and any of those can throw off the accuracy. But if it's a direct link from the vendor, it should include a doc ID or some kind of doc ID from the vendor. And that doc ID generally should be accurate. It seems like it's the case that for, especially for Gale, it seems like there's been some issues with accuracy there. But one more thing I wanted to mention before we end, and I'll put this in the notes as well. One of the things, this has come up a few times just recently. So I wanted to point out that for Gale for Gale direct linking, you want to make sure that and this requires you go to, Alma admin or Alma configuration and then discovery. And for the CDI, the relevant place to do this is kind of a newer workflow in Alma that's contemporary with the CDI. And it seems like in a few institutions we missed getting this stuff set up. But if you want to just check, go here, custom linking for single index databases. And this is where the vendor specific customizations for CDI linking takes place. So there's one for Gale linking, for example, and this is where you need to make sure your Gale information is accurate. It looks like Highlines is already there, and I suspect most of you are already set up appropriately, but a few of you, especially maybe if you just came online with Gale with the recent WSL switch over from EBSCO to Gale, maybe that's why some of you have not had this. But go here and make sure that this link includes Primo as the SID and the so-called loc ID for your Gale account. And I'll put this in the notes as well. I'm just going to grab my lines. And that will solve some of the especially if you get a message about bad loc ID. And then we did, I think it was at Seattle. There's another, that reminds me, there's another thing another customization we did. And this was going back to those a few cases we had open at Seattle about Gale. And there's actually a subtlety here. So again, I'm going to the same place, discovery, custom linking. And then if we look at Gale linking, where's my, oh wait, no, that's right. For North, Seattle has 3 different setups for Gale because of the different. Oh no, or maybe maybe we didn't. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but there was a way to fix. What's happening is that some of the Gale direct links coming from the CDI include database codes from Gale that appear to be deaccessioned. They don't work anymore. But what seems to work is that Gale has a new search that I think it's Gale Power Search. There's sort of a universal database code now, and I believe it's GPS, where that will work for any doc ID coming from Gale. And what you can do,
it shows up in the parser parameters.
Oh, is that where it is? Okay.
Yeah. So if you take a look at one of the electronic collections, there's a place in the parser parameters. That's where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, this stuff is like so complicated.
So just a question, Wade, might that be one reason, and this has just happened in the last month, and I've got a case open with Gale, is all of a sudden our easy proxy, even though we've updated the stanza, is no longer working for any of our Gale databases. And it was at the beginning of the quarter, and it's not now. And we haven't changed anything from our end, but I wonder if that universal code might, if I need to add that to the easy proxy stanza somehow.
No, that wouldn't. What I'm talking about has to do with making sure that the doc ID and a direct link works. Is it just from Primo links that you're getting an error?
No. It's from our direct database.
Oh,
It's like from our
yeah,
database A to
go
Z.
ahead, yeah.
It's from everywhere. It's a hot mess. And so right now the workaround is we've got their SSO functioning. So I've enabled that. And so they're bypassing easy proxy, and students sign in with Google and faculty can sign in with Microsoft, but it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah. So that sort of sounds like the IP address for the easy proxy server isn't actually in your Gale configured in the Gale account.
No, it is. And that was one of the first things that their techs double checked, and that hasn't changed. So yeah, we're still trying to troubleshoot it. And it's just a mess.
Yeah, well, I think I have easy proxy credentials for Skagit. I might reach out to you on that. That doesn't sound like too hard of a thing to.
Well, apparently it is, because it keeps getting escalated at the Gale end, and they're looking at our config file, and it's just a hot mess.
Yeah, I mean, if they're that deep into it, maybe it is something trickier, but and I don't, I think I did figure out, I'll have to search my email, because I think there is a way to add the universal Gale database code to the CDI linking for Gale, so that it's always used instead of whatever database code comes in with a direct link. Because again, it seems like that the code and the direct link are, as Gale's transitioned to this new power search that they're doing, some of those codes seem to not be supported anymore, or they've changed the codes, but they haven't they haven't rolled out fresh links in the citations that they're sharing with other vendors.
Well, and so we've run into a situation with the K-5 ebooks that they provided as a special package, where, because we're 3 libraries using one Alma, we can't use a direct link. Like, we have to have a parser parameter, and no matter what code we put in the parser parameter for the DBase code, whether it's GPS or GVRL or the code for whatever that Gale in context elementary is, the links don't work. I'm really not happy with Gale.
Ditto.
Oh, that's older. Let's see.
But yeah, like you were saying, Wade, in the parser parameter, there's part of the parser parameter is a DBase equals code.
Oh, okay, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Kirsty, but I just wanted to, I'll repost this so it's at the top of the so it is in the the Gale linking parameter that we were just looking at, and here's how, oh, and it's my screen still being shared. I don't see the green border. Anyways, I'll post this into the notes. I'll clean this up, but it's basically hard coding GPS as the database code for any
Oh, yeah.
Gale link, and that will address CDI links. If the link is being created by the link resolver, that's where the parser parameters come in, and that may be a fix for link resolver links that might encounter a similar issue where the collection has the DBase code, and that would actually be easier. You're right, Kirsty. You could override the parser parameters, and I won't save this, but you could just, if you wanted whatever this collection is, I think, CSIC, whichever Gale collection that is, it may be that if those links don't work, you could try putting GPS instead, and seeing if that worked. That, I don't think I've tried that. It may not work the same way as because this is not working off a Gale proprietary doc ID. This is trying to send citation info in the kind of traditional official sense, sending the ISBN, the title, author, et cetera, and trying to find that. Then passing that to Gale and saying, we're supposed to have this, in our subscription from you, please give me the link and that. But it could be, it could be as simple as changing if the issue is inaccurate data code, then changing that would help. And you can kind of test that on the fly. Like if you find a citation in Gale and it doesn't resolve, and you look at the URL and you see a DBase code in the URL, you can try editing the URL and changing it to GPS and hitting enter and seeing if that then resolves. If so, then the database code is the issue. And sorry, that might have been, I don't know if that made sense without looking at an actual example, but it's basically just kind of looking at, following a link. There you go. This is open source example, but you follow the link, look at the URL, and if there's a DBase code, Gale DBase code, and you change the code, and that fixes it, then the data, the link resolves, then that's the issue. There's some kind of database. The Gale database code is not, or you may have the wrong. I think we had a case. Oh, it was at Wenatchee recently. Tria had the wrong, I think it was even Gale. I don't know if she's on the call, but she actually had she was subscribed to one collection but had activated a slightly different one, and so that was a database code issue where the collection she had activated was using a database code that they didn't have access to in Gale. So that was, even though it was almost the same content in both collections, it was a slightly different collection. So that's why. And maybe that's, so anyways, and I realize we're probably a few minutes over the hour now, so, or quite a bit. So we can stop there. I know some folks have probably already dropped off. Again, I'll circulate all these notes there, and we brought up new questions today. Easy proxy at gadget for Gale. And I'm just, you don't need to stick with me if you guys are, we're done. I'm just trying to remember. We're using Salesforce.
Thanks, Wade.
Yeah, thanks
Bye, everybody.
everybody. And then so long all. Have a good day. What else did we talk about? All right.